right. We are live. What's going on, everybody? This is Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist. And tonight, we're going to be talking about your media angle and why it's so important to your business. As you guys know, I dabble in PR and visibility. And one of the things I have to do when somebody comes to me for a plan is I have to determine what makes them interesting to the media, i.e. media angle. A media angle is think of it as the slant or the type of story that is important to journalists and reporters that make you interesting enough to interview. And a lot of times when people come to me, they either have too much information going on in their life, and two of my clients are dealing with this right now. Like, they are so accomplished and so smart that they can't see the forest through the trees, as the old expression goes. And so they bring me in to just simplify their lives, simplify their messaging, and just take, 9 pages of information and turn it into something that's very simplistic and easy to follow. Other times, so that's at the top end of the spectrum. But if you go to the other side, some people feel that they either aren't important enough or they're not sure exactly what the most interesting aspect of their brand is, or what would make them media worthy. For me, it was a slam dunk. For those of you guys that know me, I failed out of high school, failed out of college twice. I ended up getting my PhD. I came from a pretty bad family, and I moved 16 times in my childhood. And yet I managed to overcome and live out all my dreams like a normal boy for the most part. So your media angle, oftentimes it's just a matter of creativity. And some people can think of one immediately and package it into something that's attractive to journalists and podcasters. And other times they hire me flat out just because I can see it. And I've gotten to the point where I can talk to somebody for about 10 minutes and I know immediately what their strongest angle is. Tonight, I'm going to share a couple of angles, and I guess the first thing I should do is qualify this, because if you're watching this, you're like, where's Rob going with this? Like, why is this important to me? Because once you know your media angle, you can pitch reporters to get on TV. You can pitch business writers for newspapers and get, newspaper coverage. You can pitch podcasters and get a lot more interviews. So getting coverage is very important, but you don't get that coverage unless your pitch is interesting, your story idea, right? So before we get started real quick, let's give a shout out to Devil Dog Brew. Amazing coffee company, and it is staffed by disabled Marines. And very high quality product. I've enjoyed the hell out of what they sent me. Thank you, Devil Dog Brew. It's great to enjoy your product. I drink quite a bit of coffee in the course of my day. And I believe it's devildogbrew.org. Yeah, there it is. devildogbrew.org to get your bag. But I specifically mention them because that's their angle. So if Devil Dog Brew wanted to get on the news, a company that hires disabled Marines exclusively to distribute coffee, that's the most powerful news story ever. And so when we're looking at angles, you reverse engineer their story. Okay? Now you've got every single piece of military media out there. You got stripes.com. You've got Marine Corps Times. You got Military Times. You got Leatherneck Magazine. You have, trust me, I've done this numerous times. Even military.com. You find writers for all these sites and you pitch the story. And the story is this amazing coffee company was founded and employs, they're out of Colorado. They employ disabled Marines. So right off the bat, that's the story. That's the angle. And I'm already looking at military media. And then mainstream media, of course, is going to eat this up. So local news stations, local newspapers, And then you can absolutely, throw the long shot and shoot for Fox News, CNN, whatever. But that's the angle. Angles are far more important than people think for their business. And Ryan Landry said something very interesting. He says, Rob the Warrior Strategist speaks the truth. No BS, gets in depth in what people's true needs and what their focus and direction are. Yeah, exactly, Ryan. That's what I do. That's why when I work with somebody, I'm already crafting like angles in my head. And that's what I love. That's what I love doing, is helping people. They might not even see the story. I see it. I know it's just crazy. Like, looking at all these veterans in the comments. This is great. What's up, Anthony? I know Anthony does stuff to protect schools. I know that Ryan was an artillery officer, artillery NCO. I know that Mark Dudek, Hardscape hacker, founded CSD Hardscapes, all this stuff. Ryan Hunt, of course, Bando Commando clothing line, all this stuff. So anyway, knowing you guys, I can craft angles for every single one of you. And those angles get you coverage. And so thinking back, there's a couple of ways that you can turn your life story into an angle that you can pitch to news sources, reporters. So right off the top, one of the first things I pitch people as is subject matter expert. So this means that you pitch, you're an expert in something. If you're sending your pitch out to different podcasters and reporters and journos, you're going to have a couple of positioning statements. In my own case, I would talk about, I've been interviewed, 240 times with 3 pages of Google. I've gotten 18 people on TV. These are all power stats. Power stats are important, but positioning is also important. If you're going to apply as a subject matter expert, you need to talk about, maybe you have a military background, like Anthony in particular. Anthony would talk about, maybe he's got a military background, maybe he's got a law enforcement background, all this different stuff, firearms training, certs, whatever. So this would position him as a subject matter expert in school safety. One of the other angles I do is life experience. So life experience was my bread and butter because my own story was so wild. A lot of people don't think it's true, just because it is so unbelievably hard to process for most people. And Ryan Landry actually said something really nice one time. He said something like, Rob, do you know how tremendous your story is? Like, do you understand really how far you've come? And I said, honestly, bro, I've lived it for so long that it doesn't even like really faze me. Like, I forget sometimes that normal people don't go through what I went through and persevere. Just because my most of my adult life has just been survival. Like, that's it. And that's why I tell my story out there, just to inspire people. But sometimes we forget how awesome our stories are. And Mark says, your list of contacts is vast and covers just about every industry out there. Common denominators, to get every single media coverage. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. And one time I did set a record for somebody. When I worked with Chris McPhee, Green Beret Media, we got all 5. He was the first person I ever got placed. TV, magazine, newspaper, podcast, and one other one. Magazine, newspaper, podcast, and maybe blog. Radio, that's what it was. Yeah. Anyway, so I got him on all 5. He was my first one that I'd gotten on every major form of media platform. It was pretty awesome. So the next one after life experience, if you have a crazy life experience, you can package that up. If you're the victim of a crime, if you're involved in something that's really out there and you don't mind talking about it, package that up as a life experience pitch. And that's a good one. Current event is a good one. And this is what's really interesting is, can you actually create the news? Yes. You can do it. You can do it ethically. I'm not saying be a scumbag and like invent things. I'm seeing, for example, let's say you want to get your business on the news. If you create a current event, like you do a fundraiser for a nonprofit and you donate a check, you absolutely can document that, get the footage, send it to the news agencies, and you might get coverage for that. everybody wins in that scenario, by the way, because you're giving money to a nonprofit. You're, helping out somebody in the community, and you're making your business look good, and it's social media gold. Like, this is literally win-win-win. Current events, there are things you can do, like I said, partnerships, nonprofits, fundraisers, donating money, like with Brian Landry with Rockin' Frenchies, the service dogs. Things like that are all current events. Ryan got a sponsorship from Home Depot, which was amazing. That's a current event. That's newsworthy. These are all things that you either issue a press release for, or you reach out to the media and you let them know, hey. And I want you guys to remember something. If you ever have imposter syndrome about, hey, am I newsworthy? I don't really feel like it. I don't feel like I'm that important. I always like to just kind of joke around with people, and I let them know, hey, the news needs coverage every single day. And if it's not you, it's going to be a water skiing squirrel. And I laugh about it, but it's freaking true. How many of those stories have you actually seen? Because I've seen quite a few. So if you don't shoot your shot and you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know. Because trust me, I've gotten people on the news. Sometimes during a slow news day, I've gotten somebody on the news the next day, which is unheard of. When Kurt Balish did his launch, he opened up his new wood shop for Balish Woodworks. I reached out. Take it easy, Anthony. Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. I reached out to CBS on Kurt's behalf. They didn't get back to me. They didn't ask me any questions. They just, I just thought it went out to the atmosphere and just died on the vine. And they sent a camera crew the next day to his event, and I was shocked. But that's the power of shooting your shot. So even if you don't think it's newsworthy, or you're not sure if you can actually do it, always get out there, always let them know, build those connections. Ryan has been on the news so many freaking times now. I'm pretty sure he's going to name one of his children after the reporter that we linked up with. And it's awesome because now she's a personal friend. She knows the power of Ryan's brand. And he has like VIP to news coverage because he's made that connection. So even if you don't think your stuff is newsworthy, put it out there. Pitch the stations, pitch the reporters. You'd be surprised. They run stories you wouldn't feel are like super, super crazy important. But in their eyes, it's a good, family story, or it's a good community story, something like that. The fourth angle I was thinking about is partnership. So if you partner up with, say, Brian Big Country Conwell, who's doing his games soon, para-athlete games, you partner up with a local company that helps veterans or helps children, or a local, foster home or something like that. Partnerships, whether they're sponsorship deals, or whether they're donations, or whether they're, co-hosting an event, stuff like that, partnerships make the news. So get out there, start making partnerships with people. I came on as an advisor for the Dallas Chamber of Commerce for veterans, Dallas Veterans Chamber of Commerce. And I've done some work with them. I love what they're doing. Christy Rimmel's incredible to work with. But that type of partnership has been very beneficial for me. And when you make partnerships with people, it strengthens your brand, makes you look like a rock star, and it's newsworthy. Mark says he's been building his library of articles on LinkedIn. Yeah, I've seen your stuff, Mark. It's awesome. Remember what I told you, be the king of Ocala, and you'll win. Landry says being genuine, human being, and everything you do is the biggest thing. Don't be anybody else. Yeah, man. So basically, guys, your media angle, it doesn't always have to be the most complex thing in the world. You don't always have to, be like involved in some massive event. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be good looking, clearly. But this face has been on TV numerous times. So just remember, think about your angle. It can be your backstory. It can be something you're really good at. It can be, an event you've participated in. But your media angle is more important than ever. And if you guys ever have questions about this, or you need to, figure out what would be the strongest angle, you can always message me. I do this all day. I've gotten 18 people on TV. I've gotten numerous people on podcasts, radio, all kinds of stuff. And the angle is always the first thing, because once I talk to somebody, I look at their business, I look at their life story, I look at what in my head I think, would this be TV worthy? Would this be interesting enough to do a story on? And sometimes it's your military service. Sometimes it's, maybe you got a giant family of like 6, 10 kids or whatever. Maybe it's you put your kids to work like Gunny Gonzalez did. He's got really little kids and they're editing videos for him for his business and they love it. He's teaching them a trade, which is great. Mike Peterson, Mike's Damascus Knives. He's teaching his 13 or 14-year-old daughter how to forge knives at a forge or a kiln. So the point is, figure out what your angle is. And sometimes, like you said, it's a matter of creativity. Some of you guys are too smart for your own good. And some of you guys are underplaying your importance and your value. You need to be somewhere in the middle. You got to be confident. So, and if you're in something that's very plain, let's say you're in finance or insurance, pitch the stations with, hey, 3 tips that most consumers don't know. If I was in finance, I would teach people the 13 mortgage payment tip, where if you pay your payments, you split them and you do them twice in a month instead of one payment in a month, you get a 13th payment free applied to your loan. A lot of people don't know that. Things like that. So, like I said, think about your life. Think about maybe your military service. Think about your business. Maybe you can do a consumer protection type of thing. Hey, avoid these kind of scams. My client, Kyle Wentworth, he's really good at teaching ransomware and cybersecurity. So he should be on like all the news stations, teaching cybersecurity, teaching tips about educating your staff. He's been really big lately. We've been pushing this angle on casino security, and that's where I'm going to push next. And Ryan says he went on TV again, 2-part episodes past Thursday. That's awesome, Ryan. Thank you. And paying early ups your credit score. Love it. We got Laura McNeil popping on. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But like I said, it always starts with a media angle. It always starts with figuring out what makes you interesting. And even if you don't see it in yourself, somebody else might see the real value in what you're doing. So always go for it. Many, many years ago, I just said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be very visible. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to, tell my story to the world. And I got a lot of interviews. I'm 200 plus interviews now, just because I realized that my life story and my childhood were insane, and it was time to share. All right. We got some great people in comments. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing this. Hopefully this is resonating with you, and really appreciate everything that you guys do and for being in my life. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you so much. Got a busy couple days, but if you reach out to me, I'll do my best to get to everybody in a timely fashion. All right. That's all I got, guys. This is Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist. And as always, stay famous. I'll see you next time.